Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Cap GMs podcast. It's Thursday, August 14th, 2025. I'm your host, George Kurt, joined by the one and only Cody Roadcap. How you doing, Cody?
I'm doing fantastic. We had football on last week. We have the Battle of New York on tonight. I know it's just preseason, but I'm getting that itch. That itch is getting louder. We're doing mock drafts. We're doing actual drafts. A lot of football stuff coming at us fast.
It is, and if anybody read the description of this episode, the title, whatever, you should know we're not alone. Welcome into the self-proclaimed Chaos Master.
Coordinator.
That's Tyler. Oh, I mean, Master. I think he'll take that.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you guys doing today?
Good, especially because I'm not seeing Cody's face because he's under the graphic.
You could have just let it go. You know, the people on YouTube would have been like, oh, another Cody mistake, whatever. But George, you got to call it out. It's fine.
I do, because that's how I can promote that we're on YouTube live Thursdays at 6:30, and you can watch us afterwards on YouTube or on Spotify. Sorry, Kempy, I cut you off.
No, I'm happy to be here. I think this is my second live show with you guys, so I'm hoping I can remain live, not canceled. So let's see how this goes when we get to the chaos later in the show.
Yeah, we'll see how much we hate you when you try to destroy our mock draft that's happening later in the show. Make sure you're following us at the Couch GMs, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok to get even more than you do from the show. Like I said, join us 6:30 East on Thursday nights on Facebook and YouTube. And before we get into our mock draft, what's happening? What's happening? We're going to start off with the news that broke today. Rashee Rice, we found out that his hearing for his potential suspension is going to come until the end of September, which means it's after week 4. Not a big deal then if you're looking at like the first 4 weeks, shouldn't really affect him. But if he gets suspended, especially for a long period, like Cody and I were thinking 6 to 8 weeks, that can start leaking into the playoffs. He's close to it. So a little bit sketchy when it comes to deciding whether or not to draft him. What are your thoughts, Cody, on how this affects his draft stock?
No, I actually love this news came out the same day we have Kempy on here for a little inside baseball knowledge. Me and Kempy this offseason, we're in a dynasty league. He has Rashee Rice, and we were very close on pulling a trade, which would have moved him up in the draft, and I would have got Rashee Rice. And it came down to disagreeing on the length of suspension on why the trade ultimately fell through. I've been a firm believer that it's going to be 8 games down to maybe appealed down to 6. I know Kempy was on the mindset, and I can let him talk since he's here too, closer to that 4 games. And I think that's going to be a big unknown heading into the season now. If it's 4, okay, he's back by week 8, ready to go. If it's 8 games, now you're looking at week 12 when he's back, 2 weeks before the fantasy playoffs. But my personal advice is I'm not changing the way I'm viewing him. If he's available in rounds 4, 5, and 6, where he's kind of been, I would take him. And I would just hope and pray that the suspension is shorter. But if I'm a guy that doesn't get him, you can play the game of going out and making a trade for him once you find out what the suspension is, and also get to see how he does in those first 4 weeks. But everything out of Kansas City camp is looking like he is prone to be the number 1 guy for Patrick Mahomes this season.
Yeah, and it's a little scary right now, like thinking about what that could mean for the fantasy playoffs. It's hopeful for those first 4 weeks that we might be getting him back. Hopefully with full health. I know he's coming back from being injured last season, but ultimately you almost have to treat this like an injured player. You know what you could get, especially maybe towards that fantasy playoffs, if everything goes well and if the NFL follows through on that after week 4. But I'm kind of treating him like an injured player. Do you want that upside? Do you think he will be valuable for you? Or are you just kind of leaning back? I'm going to pass and figure out somebody that I know, knock on wood, will be there for the whole time.
I think I was being convinced more and more personally on taking him still at his fairly normal draft spot when I heard he was going to be out potentially 6 to 8 weeks at the beginning of the season, has the ramp up period, goes into the fantasy playoffs. I mean, I can prep my team to not have him for 8 weeks, probably not play him for 2, and then he comes back and he's back full strength for me to make a playoff. But now hearing that it's pushed back to after week 4, he either may not get a ramp up going into the fantasy playoffs or may miss some time. I'd rather go take somebody who has similar upside in that part of the draft that I know is going to be available. Just unless there's an injury, we can't draft for injuries, and take the safer bet at this point in that round of that area of the draft.
Yeah, and we're all in agreement. It's a big unknown. I know Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports, he's estimating 5 to 7 games, where Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk is in the 8 to 10 game range. And Albert Breer said teams are expecting 4 to 6. So literally we got 4 to 10, 3 different people reporting, all unknown. You're going to have them for 4 weeks. And the good news is check your league settings. Most leagues nowadays allow suspension to fill that IR spot. If it doesn't, talk to your commissioner. Maybe you can get that changed. Maybe it's too late for this season to get that changed. But again, I would draft Rashee Rice with no reservations at this point, because where he's already going, it's already been accounted for. And a lot of times those players in those early middle to late middle round drafts like Rashee Rice, a lot of them don't end up panning out the we want to anyways. It's starting to get to that, flyer territory. And if you get him that late and he only misses 4 games, you already have a leg up.
It's the risk you have to be willing to take, and just make sure who you're drafting around him more or less is. If you're taking him, maybe you draft safer and around him with players that are more consistent week to week, have had, not taking rookies who you don't know where the ceiling is going to be. Try to take them more consistent ceilings just to try to make up for it in case you do have a situation where Rashee Rice doesn't play for an extended period of time. But I think that's covers there. We can move on to Quinshon Judkins, who is another one who we weren't sure what his situation was going to be. Now, still hasn't signed his rookie contract, but the charges against him were dropped as of today. So it looks like everything's now in the clear for him to go sign his rookie contract, and he will move on as usual with no problems.
I wouldn't say with no problems. I would not put it past the league for still doing, a 1 to 2 game suspension. They've done that in the past just for getting into quote unquote legal trouble, still getting somewhat of a suspension. But I don't think he was a guy that, you were building your team around. It was more of the dynasty aspect of it where he was coming into play. And with dynasty drafts already happening, him being a rookie, we knew it wasn't going to be more than, hopefully, we don't know for sure, but hopefully this situation wouldn't continue down the line. And I think he'll be taken care of where he's at. And it would be good to get back and just expect maybe a slow start from him. Just because of all the time missed. And another guy you could be looking in that week 2, week 3, week 4 range, thrown into a trade, trying to get some high upside value once we get into the season, but we'll break it all down then.
Yeah, and for redraft purposes, I think it's nice to look at him as a name that you don't have to necessarily put as much stock into, like a Rashee Rice, who has that draft value around the 4th, 5th round. So at least you can kind of pause. You don't have to bank your team on it. Or use one of those early picks. It could be still a nice flyer and could have a lot of upside if it comes down to it in the later season.
For sure. And since we're talking about the Cleveland Browns, just a little side task. Texas wide receiver Isaiah Bond was projected to be a high-end pick, got into some legal trouble, fell completely undrafted. His legal things were also resolved with charges dropped as of today. He put out there that he's signing with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have not said that they're actually going to sign him, which is an interesting dynamic all in general. But that is a name that you could keep an eye on for potentially dynasty purposes. If you're picking up your waivers, you have a long-term play. He is a talented guy, just had some legal issues that are hopefully now behind him. So wanted to throw his name out there as we got the trifecta of legal updates today on August 14th.
Yeah, apparently it was a legal update in the NFL, but now I wouldn't put much stock in Bond for redrafts. I would just look at it like maybe in the future he's a waiver wire ad if you notice that he does start to get some traction later in the season. I don't expect it to be a big impact right off the bat. A hold-in was successful also this week as James Cook yesterday for starting to practice, even though he didn't have a contract signed. Then he did sign a 4-year, $48 million contract. So I think that was well deserved. And the Bills have re-signed so many of their guys to big contracts this offseason. So they just continue to dole out the money the guys have gotten here, and we'll see if it puts them over the edge.
Yeah, and the big number there is $30 million guaranteed for a running back. Because the overall salaries has been nice, but it's been the guarantees that have definitely slowed running backs down from re-signing outside of your Derrick Henrys and Saquon Barkley. So James Cook, solid player. Glad to see at least one hold-in resolved. There is still a lot more that need to take place and get resolved over the next couple of weeks. So maybe he can be the first domino to fall to get some other guys signed and ready to go.
Definitely. And then I'm going to pass it over to Cody for our next update. What happened with Jordan Love?
He sprained his thumb, basically. I don't know if it's he hurt his non-throwing. So first of all, it's non-throwing. It's his left thumb. He had a minor procedure on it to get it cleaned up, so he is fully recovered by week 1. And this is one of those situations where the timing just worked out better to get the surgery and get it fully healthy. The Packers are actually having a joint practice with the Indianapolis Colts today, and he was asked after practice, he was not practicing, about his injury, and he was like, if this was during the season, I wouldn't have got surgery. I would have still been out there, and they expect him to be back practicing as early as next week. Probably won't play in any more preseason games, but in terms of week 1, you're good to go with Jordan Love and that Packers offense, which he will need, but we still don't know which wide receiver you should draft.
Can't be really fast throwing you on the spot. Which wide receiver from the Packers would you draft?
Don't tell Cody. None. But personally,
it's not
maybe that's
bad.
a hot take. Could be a hot take.
Yeah. I've gotten myself to, if I'm taking any of them, it's Matthew Golden, just because of the unknown upside first round pick potential. And it's a complete flyer, and I don't like where he is being drafted. I think he could live up to those expectations for sure, but I'm not there. I would much rather like taking a late round flyer on Tucker Kraft as my tight end than any of the Packers wide receivers in terms of fantasy this year.
I completely
If
agree
I had
with
to
that.
at this point, I would cheat and say Tucker Kraft too.
Mm-hmm. I would trust a lot, and especially at the tight end position, take the flyer on Kraft.
Exactly.
All right. Last thing on the docket here. Matt Stafford's been dealing with a chronic back problem. He was supposed to start practicing on Monday. Everything seemed to be pointing that way. He still hasn't been practicing. Any concern about him or any Rams weapons going into the season now with him now, a couple weeks away and still not on the field?
So I don't know if this is related to last year in Christian McCaffrey of, oh, he's fine. He'll be ready to go week 1, end up missing multiple weeks. If that has me on edge that Stafford might start to miss weeks, or if he's actually just an older quarterback dealing with some back issues, it's tightened up and he'll be ready to go week 1. I keep going back and forth on this whole situation. I still tend to believe he'll be fine. And, maybe fool me once, fool me twice, that old saying, and you get me again with this NFC West team going, oh yeah, he'll be good. And then come week 1, he's not. That would definitely hurt for like guys like Puka, my guy Devontae Adams, would be, it probably would even hurt Kyron Williams without Matthew Stafford there too. So there's a lot of key pieces early in drafts that are going to rely on Matt Stafford being the quarterback for the Rams this year. So hopefully he's supposed to do another workout on Saturday and start practicing next week, but that's what we heard last week. So it is definitely a touchy situation as we go.
I think it's a little scarier than it sounds at first. This sounds like a common injury. However, the more research and kind of information that's come about his treatment as of late, he's using something called the immortal chamber, which sounds absolutely terrifying. If you are injured and you need to put yourself in an immortal chamber, I don't know if you're going to be necessarily healthy week 1. And this could be a Christian McCaffrey situation all over again. And apparently an immortal chamber is a wellness device that aims to optimize human performance and promote holistic health through a combination of non-invasive technologies. What happened to just going to the doctor, getting, one of the shots in your knees, or, this seems a little more serious.
As someone that has spent years watching Aaron Rodgers play quarterback and knows that like darkness retreats and ayahuasca trips are the way of natural medicine and healing, the chamber doesn't freak me out as much, but maybe that's just some past, trauma that I've already gone through.
The fact that Cody can't say half the words in the English language, but can say ayahuasca is still surprising to me.
It's impressive. And just like this chamber to begin with, if you haven't seen it already, go to Twitter, take a look at what it looks like. It's literally like a silver dome that they just dropped right outside the stadium just for this immortalness.
I'm on their website right now, which I probably shouldn't be doing while we're doing a podcast. But like the red light therapy laser bed on their website is actually pretty impressive. It looks like it'd be a fun time. So shout out Matt Stafford for trying something different, trying to get back for his team. And I think that the one thing to point out too, and George and I talked about this a little bit last week, like, yes, Matt Stafford missing time stinks, but the Rams need him to be healthy in December, January, potentially February. If he misses week 1, week 2, then it sucks for them, but like they can overcome that. They did it last year. They started off really slow and they overcome it, made it to the, a deep playoff push. So hopefully he can get back and better, because the league is better when Matt Stafford is playing.
Definitely. And I mean, it's worth noting it was a different injury, but we went through a similar situation last year with him and his shoulder. I was very concerned last year. Obviously didn't affect him during the season and into the playoffs. So a little bit of hope there. There's a track record of this working out in the end, and hopefully it will again this year.
For sure. But I think we've talked enough news. Kempy is here as the chaos coordinator. We got a mock draft to get to. Are you guys ready to get into it? All right, I'm going to press a bumper and a random music because it's just mayhem.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Mayhem mock draft. So going into this a little bit, just to give some of the listeners and viewers a background, George and Cody asked me to make this draft interesting for them. We talked a little bit about some expectations, a little bit on the production side as well, but they don't know what will be happening in this draft. They know they'll be making some of the picks of their own. They know I might be making picks for them, or they might be making picks for each other. Ultimately, we still want to make the best competitive team, but just like on your draft days, there's going to be craziness. I feel like I've never been in a draft where everything went to plan. So this is kind of setting you guys up and the viewers up for what happens if it gets a little crazy. For this one, we're going to be on Sleeper, right, guys?
Yep.
And you guys don't have your draft spots yet.
Well, we know literally nothing about this. If you are, a fantasy football fan, I'm sure you have listened to the Fantasy Footballers. They've done similar stuff to this in the year. We kind of stole the idea from them, but we gave Kempy free reign on ideas, and we don't even know it. That's where we kind of differ from what they're doing over there. But yeah, we are on Sleeper. I'm going to throw the draft board, and it's blank because we don't know where we're going to be. If you're watching at home on YouTube or on Spotify, or if you're listening, head over to YouTube to check it out. The icon for me will be the Couch GMs, and George will be for his. Kempy, are you ready to give us picks, or do you got more to say?
We have to pick our spots first. So to do this, we are going to be doing a little trivia. Just one question, just to see where we're at numbers-wise. All right? And this is a football show, and it's going to be football-related trivia. So we're going to talk about ADP, we're going to talk about Madden, and we're going to talk about the NFL draft. Using those three things, I'm going to ask you one question, and that'll generate a number, and that number will kind of correspond for you guys. Stay with me here, all right? Craziness, it'll die off a little bit, but the craziness will be back. So guys, think about it. Maybe if you want a pen, paper, write it down in your notes app, but I'm going to give you three categories. They all generate numbers. Add those numbers together. Closest guess will determine your draft spot. All right. First, number one, Kyle Pitts ADP via Fantasy Pros. Not a sponsor. Kyle Pitts ADP from Fantasy Pros.
Are you looking at overall, or like you want a round number?
Overall.
Okay.
Jameis Winston speed in Madden 26. You're adding those two together. Shout out JMO. And then lastly, this one might be just common knowledge. The overall pick of Shedeur Sanders in the 2025 NFL Draft.
Yeah, Cody
challenge
probably
you guys
got
a little bit. If you guys know, I'm a teacher, so I like to incorporate some math into this. But once you guys have your answer, maybe George, you want to give it to me first. Cody, you want to give it to me second. What do we got here?
So are you going pick by pick, or are we adding the number up?
add them together. So if you need the calculator app, that's fine as well.
All right. So
I feel like I'm
Go ahead,
way
Jordan.
off. I feel like I'm way off. My number added up to 315.
315.
we're actually pretty
Okay.
close. I was 262. For anyone that's curious at home, for my ADP, I guess 77. For my Jameis Winston speed, I did 45. And then for Shador Sanders, I did 140. Hindsight, I think he was a little bit later in the 150s, but I'm going to stick with 140 because I already put that in the calculator.
Okay. My
All
Kyle
right.
Pitts ADP was 110. My Jameis Winston speed was 55. And my Shador Sanders ADP was 150.
All solid guesses. It sounds like you guys are insulting JMO a little bit, though. So the Kyle Pitts ADP was 137. Jameis Winston speed on Madden 76. Put some respect on the man's names. And Shador Sanders was pick 144, so not too far off there. Combine those together, you get 357. So George, yours was the closest. You were 42 off. Would you like to be pick 2 or 4?
Ooh. I have a key draft later that's probably going to be actually chaotic. I'll go 4. I pick 4 there.
All
I'll
right,
pick
you're
4.
pick 4. Cody, with 262, you were exactly 95 off. Would you like to be pick 9 or 5?
I will. Oh man, this is tough. It could be fun going back to back with George, but I also think the distance might help. I'll take pick 9 here.
All right, you guys got it. So for the first round, while you guys are going on picks 4 and 9, have fun. It's your choice.
All right, I'm going to start the draft. Hopefully,
You picked 5.
Oh, okay. Well, I just chaos myself and picked pick
Yeah.
5 because I hit start draft. So,
All right,
Great.
let the chaos begin.
All right, here we are. Pick 1 was Saquon Barkley, 2 Jamar Chase, and 3 Bijan Robinson. I already feel chaotic, and I know I can pick my own guy here. Running backs are harder to come by late, and I feel like with whatever Kempy's going to do to us, maybe I want a running back early. But I mean, either way, I'm a toss up between J. Jeff and Jahmyr Gibbs here, and I have a feeling Cody's probably taking the other one. And Cody would rather have the wide receiver anyway. So I'm going to be nice to him, and I'm going to protect myself with the running position. I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs.
I hate you already. That's what I wanted when I saw he was still sitting there. So this is off to a great start. Fun fact, I was playing Madden 26, not a sponsor, but definitely could be. I completely forgot Jahmyr Gibbs changed his number to 0. So that'll be fun to see this upcoming season. So you get him there. You mentioned Justin Jefferson is there. He is dealing with a little bit of hamstring, which definitely concerns me to a little bit because that's been a problem. You have the question marks without with now having JJ McCarthy, but I think I'm still going to overcome that. Take Justin Jefferson here, a guy that some people are taking earlier in the draft. You get him late. Amon-Ra St. Brown went next, followed by CeeDee Lamb. I need to mute the music, at least on my end. And then Puka Nacua, Derrick Henry, and Ashton Genty to fill out round 1. Kempy, anything that you want to call out about our 2 picks?
I like the 2 picks. I like Gibbs. I like Jefferson. I probably would have leaned the same way, George. I would have went with that solid running back first, because then you could see there was that clear wide receiver run for a little bit. Overall, good picks, 2 different positions as well. But let's lock it up a little bit. The guys you just picked are both in the NFC. We are geo-locking you guys to those set conferences. Your next 2 picks, or your next pick here in the second round, also has to be from the NFC.
Just the NFC, not the NFC North?
Correct. Just the NFC. You have to pick from the conference.
Okay. Well, I'm back on the clock, but before me went Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins, Christian McCaffrey, Devon Achane. The top guy on the board is Brock Bowers, but by Kempy, I can't take him anyways. Drake London, AJ Brown, Josh Jacobs, and Bucky Irving are all sitting here for me. And then the 2 quarterbacks, which again, we can't take in this draft. I don't think either of us would have, unless we were trying to mayhem ourselves. For me, this is where it gets interesting because like Drake London, AJ Brown make the most sense for what I have to do here. But if I'm thinking about the game too much, and maybe I shouldn't, like if in round 3, can Kempy be like, you have to take a wide receiver, and then I'm stuck with taking another wide receiver, which makes it a little bit more challenging. But because of the mindset of this draft being, take what you're going to take and not knowing what's going to happen, I am going to go with Drake London. I haven't talked about him too much in many leagues here, but Drake London, I think he could have a solid bounce back season. AJ Brown's probably the safer pick of these two, but I have my safe pick in Justin Jefferson. Let me take a higher upside in Drake London breaking out with Michael Penix Jr. and go from there and taking 2 wide receivers. Typical Cody.
Typical Cody. I really hope that you end up having to go 0 running back in this just because that'd be fantastic.
Hey, I wouldn't hate it. I'm not like something I'm not used to.
It's true. If there's a draft strategy that's unconventional that you're used to, it's 0 running back. So yeah, looking at what I got here then, AJ Brown, obviously still up there. I took a running back in the first round, but I could take Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving. And then there's a lot of AFC players right below. So I feel like I'm kind of stuck. The next NFC player on the board is Trey McBride and then Jackson Smith and Jigba. And those are pretty big stretches for 2-7. Part of me wants to lock up the running back position and go Josh Jacobs because I think I like that consistency better than I like AJ Brown's run first offense. He's been solid, but he's been inconsistent, being is that they have 2 solid wide receiver targets and they run the ball a lot, and the touchdowns are taken up by either Saquon or the tush push. But I think I'm going to kind of go with the wide receiver position anyway because it's not a bad pick near the end of the second round. I'm going to go AJ Brown.
I like it. After him went Ladd McConkey, Josh Jacobs, and Brock Bowers to round out round 2. Then round 3 kicks it off with Bucky Irving, followed by quarterbacks Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, putting George on the clock. George, where are you leaning? Is Kempy going to interrupt you? Is he just going to wait and see? We don't know.
We don't know. He's looking intently, but he's letting me talk, so I'm going to keep talking and hope he doesn't say anything. Normal in a normal draft strategy here, I do like the idea of taking Jonathan Taylor as an RB2, fantastic RB2, at least how it's been in the past. And that'll help me lock up that running back position. And I can focus a little less on it as we move into the middle rounds. Chase Brown and Kyron Williams also here if you're a little bit later, but I think Jonathan Taylor has much higher upside. So I'm leaning there unless Ken wants to say no.
That sounds pretty good to me, George, but I have to tell you guys, here's a little thing for you. The NFL is coming, and a fresh face waits. The future is bright in the NFL. But with the 5 rounds remaining from picks 3 in round 3 to 7, you have to pick rookies to join your fight. So you have to pick at least 1 rookie in rounds 3 to 7. Keep it in mind. I'll let you guys pick. I'll interrupt when I think is needed.
Okay. Good to know. When it comes to true rookies, not really anyone quite yet on the board. So keep it in mind, but I'll still stick with Jonathan Taylor on this pick.
All right. I like that pick for you. I was really hoping when we started talking, I got to make the pick for you, and I was going to give you my guy, Trey McBride, which would have definitely thrown you for a loop, something that you probably would never do. So that would have been a fun one, but you get to pick, like you mentioned, there's no real rookies here at this point that I'm going to go after this early. Ashton Genty is long gone. I have 2 wide receivers. I'm going to take a running back here. You took Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to drop down and take Kyron Williams, and I got the nod from Kempy, so we are good to go. Following my pick was Jackson Smith and Jigba, then Trey McBride, James Cook, Chase Brown. I wanted to say Chris Brown, but I knew he was not a rapper. And Garrett Wilson. George, you want to pick up round 4?
Yeah, so we had Tyreek Hill go at 4-1, then T. Higgins, another quarterback run of Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, and then Breece Hall bringing it back to Cody. And now you get to ramble and then see if Kempy cut you off.
I do get to ramble here. And I like Marvin Harrison sitting at the top of the board. I know you can't see the top of the board on your list, but there's Marvin Harrison, George Kittle, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, Joe Burrow, all interesting names for sure at the top of the board. But I'm even looking a little bit lower here, and I see Omarion Hampton potentially getting my rookie out of the way. Do I trust him, though, to be my RB2? Because I went so early on running backs. Ken Walker, Devontae Adams is below him as well. So a lot of interesting picks. I don't love any of them. I think the one that intrigues me the most is the high upside of Marvin Harrison Jr. But because of the stipulations, because of being forced to take a rookie and maybe making George sweat a little bit, I'm going to take from George's favorite team, Omarion Hampton.
Los Angeles wide receiver or running back room, my bad. Over there with Cody. I was debating taking him and taking the third running back early, but I would have really been stretching for wide receivers later.
And you don't want to be called a homer either.
Oh, yeah, that totally. Yeah. DJ Brown didn't already do that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I could go early tight end here, not quite as early as some of those other guys, and take George Kittle. I don't think that's a bad pick, but I think I'm avoiding that. I'm going to go back to get my wide receiver 2. I'm going to lean for a resurgence of Marvin Harrison. I've been trying to come to amends with Marvin Harrison because I ended up taking him in the end of round 2 in the World Cup draft last year, and the value wasn't there. But the value in round 4 and hopefully some growth could be there.
If you want him to be good for you, you got to call him Maserati Marv. So tell the world that tell him that you are drafting Maserati Marv. And
I feel like I have PTSD as a Penn State fan of hearing Maserati Marv over and over again.
You have to hear it from the big noon kickoff guy all the time, too, in the highest pitch voice possible, and scream it as well.
Maserati Marv.
He's on the board.
I'll take Maserati. Yep. All right. After Maserati Marv went Terry McLaurin, George Kittle, and then Mike Evans. Moving in around 5, it was Alvin Kamara, DK Metcalf, and Rashee Rice back to me in round 5, 504. Sorry, I'm looking at the draft board. I could go early quarterback and take Joe Burrow. Not something I'm super interested in still, but Kempy may make me do something like that. Cody's got Devontae Adams is not really someone I'm looking at here. Ken Walker and Chuba Hubbard, top 2 running backs there, and I do like the upside of both of them. I'm a big Ken Walker guy, but I feel like in the last few years, the injuries and the second half drop-off has been kind of concerning. So I think I'm leaning Chuba Hubbard for this pick.
That's a really cute pick, George. However, I'm looking at some patterns here. It looks like you went running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver. That's really nice. I like that. Cody, just wide receiver, running back, running back. It's almost like if you flipped a coin, what would the odds be of that? We're not going to flip any coins here. We're going to spin a wheel to see the position that you are drafting next.
All right. So we'll throw the wheel up. We'll pull the draft board off here.
All right. Here we are.
Put it back up since you clicked it off.
I didn't know you were doing it. All right, here we go.
I don't
and
see
you
the
did it
wheel,
again.
gentlemen.
Stop touching things, George. I run the show.
Man. All right. The wheel of names with each position on the board. Let's see what I'm going to be picking here in this round.
As you were talking, I wanted Chuba Hubbard, so I'm hoping it doesn't land on running back.
You got lucky here, George. You
and
got
it
lucky.
It landed on running back. All right. With that, I'm going to take Chuba Hubbard and move it on to Cody. Are we spinning again?
We absolutely are.
All right. So throwing that back up there for me. George, you get to click it for me, though. Spin that wheel. If this is anything like me, it's going to land on wide receiver.
Oh, that keep going for tight end. Come on.
Don't give me Laporta. Just please don't give me Laporta.
Yeah.
Wide receiver for Cody, which is probably what he wanted.
No, I was going to go either Ken Walker or Chuba Hubbard. So this does throw me for a loop here. And I say that because my guy Devontae Adams is sitting there. But I looked 2 picks ago and I took the running back Kyron Williams. So now it's like, do I want to double up on the Rams, knowing what we just talked about with Matthew Stafford less than 10 minutes ago? That's what makes it interesting. But after that, I'm down at DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Devonta Smith, Zay Flowers, which are all interesting names. Yeah. So for me, it's like my guy Devontae Adams, but I've taken him a lot, and I have a Rams guy, so I'm going to take Cortland Sutton, the number 1 guy for the Denver Broncos. They had a good team. Maybe Bo Nix takes an even bigger step this year, and I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton. Change it up a little bit. Try a different player in these mock drafts, and go with Sutton. I didn't ask Kempy was okay, but I should.
You got it. The wheel decided.
Right. The wheel decided. After Cody took Cortland Sutton, we had Joe Burrow, Devontae Adams, Ken Walker, Sam Laporta, and then Patrick Mahomes rounded out round 5. Round 6 started with James Conner, DJ Moore, Joe Mixon, Devontae Smith, and Zay Flowers.
And I'm back on the clock. I have a name in mind that I'm ready to fire right away. It is not Ted McMillan, even though he's the top rookie, but George has 2 more rounds to pick his rookie, although he did just draft a Carolina Panther. On the top of the board is David Montgomery, Xavier Worthy, TJ Hawkinson, George Pickens, and Jameson Williams. I wanted Gibbs in round 1, getting Montgomery in round 6. That seems like good value. But unless I'm told otherwise, I'm going to take George Pickens.
George Pickens is yours. Not a great first name, but pretty solid pick.
I would agree with that 100%.
I knew when you said I'm ready to fire a name off, it was going to be George Pickens.
Yeah. I really like how my team is falling, although I am worried that I now have another pattern started, and that might cause for concern a little bit later.
Yes. I mean, my cause for concern currently is I have 2 rounds to draft a rookie. I have 3 running backs on the roster. A lot of the rookies I would want to take here are running backs. Other than that, I've got Travis Hunter, major unknown, that is Travis Hunter, and Ted McMillan, who is on the same team as Chuba Hubbard, who I just drafted. So maybe the wheel did get me by letting me pick the running back and taking Ted McMillan out of my lap when it comes to, do I really want to double up on Carolina Panthers? So I'm kind of leaning towards taking a running back as that 3rd guy, despite he would technically be, I guess, 2nd flex this early. Helps that there's 2 flexes, but I don't really want 2 running backs in my flexes. But I'm between RJ Harvey and Travion Henderson. And if it is okay with Kempy, I'm going to take a step on Travion Henderson.
You got him.
You're going to take him now? Not going to play the game?
Yep.
I like it. Respect.
Mm-hmm.
After you, though, went David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Travis Hunter to round out round 6. Round 7 kicks it off with Xavier Worthy, RJ Harvey, Ted McMillan, and George is back on the clock. We both have our rookies, so we have crossed off that list, but I'm interested to see if you get to make this pick or if Kempy has something more in store for us.
No
This
worries.
would be a perfect time.
Your pick.
What was that? My pick?
Your pick, George. No, I don't want you to sweat too much.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
But it's more
I was
that
going to
you're
say
nervous.
this might be a time where I would be okay with him saying take a tight end, as TJ Hawkinson and Travis Kelce are both up there. We're in round 7. I know I tend to take tight ends later, but I'm going to try to take one of the 2 positions before it gets too late between tight end and quarterback. And as much as I like TJ Hawkinson, I'm going to bet on a bounce back from Mr. Swift himself and take Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I don't think our podcast is doing numbers like New Heights did last night. So
no, probably not. 1.2 million at one point. That was impressive. Good for them.
Crashing YouTube, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
What if I changed my name to Taylor Swift and you guys said you had Taylor Swift on the show?
That might help.
You might get 12.
Put it in the heading. Yeah. Put it in the heading.
Maybe I draft DeAndre Swift right here. He is a little bit lower on the board. The top guy is TJ Hawkinson, followed by Jameson Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Baker Mayfield, and Jalen Waddle. 2 names stick out to me for here is if I want to go wide receiver or continue my pattern and go back to the running back. Well, I'm kind of debating between Isaiah Pacheco and Jalen Waddle here. just maybe it's finally the year that Jalen Waddle becomes the number one guy. That fascinates me, but with the health concerns of Tua, with Tyreek Hill there, I think I'm going to give the edge to Isaiah Pacheco. Just get me a solid running back because I'm relying on a rookie in my current RB2 spot. So as long as I'm good to go, I'm going to go back-to-back Chiefs here with Isaiah Pacheco. I got the thumbs up. So I took Pacheco. Then next was Chris Olave, followed by Jameson Williams, TJ Hawkinson, Bo Nix, Jalen Waddle, and that wrapped up round 7.
Round 8 started with Jerry Jeudy and then Quinshon Judkins, Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Swift goes there, and Jordan Addison. So you cannot pick up the Swifty here in round 8.
I can't. I'm back on the clock here, and there is some interesting names for sure. At the top of the list, Baker Mayfield is still up here. George talked about him as the last pick. Could I play a little bit of the game and try to snipe him? As he and Team 1 are the only 2 people besides myself that doesn't have a quarterback as of yet. Then there's Mark Andrews, Tony Pollard, Rome Odunze, and Caleb Johnson here. Don't love this spot, if I'm being 100% honest. There's a lot of names that are iffy for me. I think I have my guy in mind, but
well,
Kempy.
You mentioned there are a lot of names, and one of the favorite websites is the Wheel of Names. So I would like you to pick 3 players, add them to the Wheel of Names, spin the wheel, and that's who you're going to pick. So choose wisely on who you want to put on the wheel.
All right, we're going to have some fun with this one. So George is going to have to type it up for me, but I want you to put Baker Mayfield, Mark Andrews, or Jacoby Myers. Those are the guys I'm debating here. The guy I was going to pick was Mark Andrews, so I'm hoping that name pops up. Okay. I really don't want Baker Mayfield, but he's the top quarterback. So,
and to also then, if it lands on Jacoby Myers, to go round 8 without a tight end or quarterback, I'm curious to see where that might help you.
We'll have to wait and see. Throwing the name up there, George, hit it.
All right, let's do it.
The wheel is spinning. You hear the noise. Round and round it goes.
It gave him Jacoby Myers.
It's going to give you Jacoby Myers. You got to add some variations in this. It's not make it a little bit more intense.
Add a bunch of names.
All right. So the wheel says I'm taking Jacoby Myers. Luckily, it's a 2 flex league here. I am 3 wide receivers and 3 running backs deep with 2 flex spots. So I got my backups, no quarterbacks, no tight end. George, you're on the clock.
All right. I'm assuming I'm going to have to roll some names here too.
Absolutely.
But they can't be names that I used. I'm just
correct. No, I don't know. That sounded pretty good, though. I like that. You can't choose Mayfield or Andrews.
Okay, well, that's fine. I didn't really want Mayfield. I might have put him on the board anyway, just because I wanted to see how interesting.
Oh, I should have let him put Andrews on there, and then he could have got stuck with 2 tight ends.
Yeah, and Andrews. Yeah, I just took Kelsey. That would have been chaos and a half right there. Okay, so if I had to pick 3 names to go on the board, I'll differentiate position here as well. Skip Baker Mayfield, fine. We'll put his next best quarterback here. My computer's being a little bit slow on me. Jared Goff, that works. At running back, I'll go with Tony Pollard. And then at wide receiver, I'll go Deebo Samuel.
All right.
Can you repeat them one more time?
So that would be...
Oh, I guess I could put them on the screen too.
Yep.
Do my job.
Jared Goff, Tony Pollard, and Deebo Samuel.
Okay. Fun time. Spin that wheel.
Add some more names here?
No, bro. We can't change it up now. Round and round the wheel goes. Nobody knows.
Ooh, that was a suspenseful spin right there. I like that.
That's a suspenseful spin. That means I have 4 running backs already on my roster.
And still no quarterback.
And I have 5 wide receivers. But after you went Mark Andrews, a guy on my list, Travis Etienne, then Baker Mayfield. Team 1 turns that around to stack Chris Godwin with Baker Mayfield, Tyron Tracy, Rome Odunze. So George, Jared Goff is still on the board if you so choose to have him. But also up to Kempy.
Unfortunately,
oh no,
the wheel is just, and since the wheel picked Pollard, you cannot pick anybody that was on the wheel before in this round.
Okay.
Sorry to limit options here, but
oh yeah, no,
Goff
that limits options.
available.
So Goff is not available, and also I was going to go back to the wide receiver position. Makes top wide receiver on the board Deebo Samuel unavailable as well. So that's a great time. So I'm between, we got Cooper Kupp, Khalil Shakur, Stephon Diggs, and then the man we talked about in the earlier part of the show, Matthew Golden. Here we are. There's been so much back and forth on how Cooper Kupp and how effective he's going to be in Seattle, or if he's going to take away from JSN or anything like that. Inverse Diggs even as well, where Diggs pretty much a clear wide receiver 1, but sketchier situation potentially. I think I'm going to kind of go off the cuff, making sure I don't have anyone on below my roster here. I'm going to take Khalil Shakur and hope that he continues to build off of last year.
Alrighty. So you're taking Khalil Shakur. I got to ask, do I have any limitations since my 3 other 2 guys are already being drafted? Or do I get a free awesome. I get a free open pick here. And I could go tight end. I could go quarterback. We only have 4 rounds or 4 picks left. I don't have either of those. But I am not. I'm going to hold out even longer, and I'm going to take Brian Robinson Jr. of the Washington Commanders to kind of balance out my running backs at this point. All right. After that went Caleb Johnson, the rookie, followed by Matthew Golden, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Evan Ingram to round out round 9.
Going here to round 10, we had Deebo Samuel go 10-1, and then it was Juwan Jennings, Emeka Buka, Jalen Warren, David Njoku, and now we're back to Cody at 10-6.
Quarterbacks, tight ends at the top of the board: Jared Goff, Tyler Warren, Kyler Murray, Jonnu Smith. Top 4 names. Cam Scatterboo rounds out the top 5. There's some interesting ones there. Tyler Warren's interesting if I wanted to go back to the rookie pool. But the quarterback question marks. Jared Goff, I could get this guy, the guy that George has been holding out hope for, and snipe him 1 pick before him. He wasn't allowed to take him last round, and he's still sitting here. So that would be an interesting name to pool there. But first, I got to ask, do I have any issues, or is it still wait to be seen?
I kind of want George's opinion on this one. George, who should Cody take here?
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. Well, I think I'm going to steer him away from Jared Goff. Do I be nice and still have him take a quarterback or tight end? I could. But I have to see how nice he's going to be back to me if I would say make him take Cam Scatterboo or Ricky Pearsall here. This is a tough choice. Is he even going to do me a solid if I'm nice to him? I don't know. He doesn't even give me a vibe check. He just takes a sip of his drink there.
Well,
he's really
I think
thinking about it.
Nice depends on how you think I value the players at the board. That's the key difference right now. Like you said Jared Goff. Is that even my top quarterback? Am I hoping you don't pick him and pick someone else at quarterback, or is he my top guy? Do I not like any of the quarterbacks and tight ends and want Cam Scatterboo as a rookie, or Ricky Pearsall, or even heck Homer Jaden Reed? Who knows?
Well, I know you don't want Jaden Reed. We've already talked about this.
Hey, I could. Could be the top guy in Green Bay. Getting a top wide receiver in round 10.
I want to see how you react not having a quarterback or tight end going into round 11. But I'm not going to give you Cam Scatterboo. I'm going to give you Ricky Pearsall.
Is that my pick, or do I get to Is he officially picking Ricky Pearsall for me?
Correct. He is picking Ricky Pearsall for you.
Okay. George, you're on the clock. Or am I on the clock?
Or am I?
George, you are on the clock.
Ooh. How about that?
Hey, I like
Could've
it.
done something different.
Ricky Pearsall was my pick.
Okay. So I
Straight
kind
up.
of got lucky then.
Yeah.
In having to pick.
I got lucky. You picked the guy I wanted.
Yeah.
If I get to pick for you, that might not happen.
No, it really might not. Already have tight end. Looking at quarterbacks, excuse me. I am between Jared Goff and Kyler Murray. I like the rushing upside of Kyler Murray, especially when you're still getting it this late in the draft. I could also use him as a stack with Marvin Harrison. And I think that's probably why I'm kind of leaning that way a little bit more than having Jared Goff with Jahmyr Gibbs. Not quite as much of a stackable asset there, but even looking without it, they're very close. I think I'm going to go with maybe the bolder pick, and I'm going to go Kyler Murray.
No, you're not, George. No, you are not. You cannot pick Kyler Murray.
I cannot pick Kyler Murray, but am I open
Try
otherwise?
again. Try again. Yes.
Okay. So I can take Jared Goff.
Correct. It is meant to be.
It was meant to be Jared Goff this whole time.
All right, I was hoping he was going to let me pick. I really was. I had a guy just lined up for you.
No. You'll have to tell me later.
Cody, this is your shot to pick for George.
Which makes it even more upsetting because after George picked Jared Goff, it was Cam Scatterbo, Jaden Reed, Tyler Warren to round it out. Kyler Murray went, then Jonnu Smith, followed by Colton Loveland. And that
it was going to be Colton Loveland. You were going to do it.
I was going to pick him for George. But I'm a nice guy.
Are you?
I'm looking here at all these names. And, I'm looking at your roster. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Marvin Harrison. You got a good top four. Chuba Hubbard, Travion Henderson out there. Maybe potential resurgence from Travis Kelce. Like, you have a well-rounded foundation. But the question is quarterback for your team when I look at it. So maybe I want to double up here with a quarterback. You took him late, and I see the quarterback of your favorite team sitting at the top of the draft board in Justin Herbert. I could also take the guy that we've had more debates about with Jared Goff and Matt Stafford. There is a name a little bit lower, Brandon Ayuk. He's going to start the season on PUP, but that is a guy that could have a strong, late season push. You get to stack him in your IR spot. So there's definitely a ton of options here, and I really don't know the best direction to go for you because there is a part of me that would feel bad if I doubled up with quarterback because I don't think you would do that. I also would be hurting myself. Let's be very clear. If I double you quarterback, I'd be taking another one. But I think if I get the final say, there's only one place to go.
I'm a Chargers fan. I don't know what you're talking about.
And George goes back-to-back quarterbacks with Justin Herbert late.
Wow. Sounds good to me.
Except,
you see the drafts all the time.
I can't make your pick. You're going to actually have to click it.
Can you please click on Justin Herbert for yourself, George?
If I
Wow, George. Homer.
I'm a Chargers fan. I don't know what you're talking about. Kempy.
It's complicated. I know. Yeah. We don't really know what George's favorite team is, but one day we'll find out. But after seeing him draft Justin Herbert, I'm thinking it could be Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, taking all his Homer picks here. He's just so mad at me that I got Omarion Hampton earlier. I'm back on the clock here. If we get to pick, there's only 2 rounds left, so I'm gonna have to take a quarterback and a tight end here to fill out my roster. Hopefully, I get to finish this with a complete roster. The part of doing this without knowing what comes next from Kempy makes this a little bit more difficult here. So if I'm looking at quarterbacks, the top quarterbacks: Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love. If I'm looking at tight ends, you got Dalton Kincaid, Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts. I think I'm leaning tight end here. I talked about it at the beginning of the show. As we asked, which Packers wide receiver did you like? I said I'd rather take a late round flyer. on Tucker Kraft. I would like to do that now, but Kempy, am I allowed?
Nope. Try again.
Try again. You know. Oh, dang it.
Do it. Do it.
So I was, in my mind, I thought there might be a chance because George got that last round.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to say Tucker Kraft and take Kyle Pitts. But I didn't look at my team. I got Drake London. I don't think the Falcons are going to be. So I just made it myself. I should have said Kyle Pitts. But then
I thought about that. I wasn't going to, but I think the pure love of saying try again and you can't take a Green Bay Packer influenced me just to say it this time too. So try again.
All right. So, yeah. Oh, baby. This is a tough situation for me to figure out here. Do I take the flyer on Kyle Pitts? I could, but I also have Drake London with my number 2 overall pick. Maybe I take Dalton Kincaid and get some of that high power Bills offense. I'm going to take Kincaid, even though my button keeps going towards Kyle Pitts, and maybe I should just do it. It's drifting lower. It's drifting lower. Oh, man, I took Kyle Pitts. So I got 2 Falcons, baby, on my team. And that's where I went with my second to last pick. After that was Jordan Mason, Brock Purdy, Darnell Mooney, Josh Downs, and then Dalton Kincaid to wrap it up. Then to kick off round 12, we had Javonte Williams, J.K. Dobbins, Tucker Kraft, Brandon Ayuk, Jaden Higgins. And I am back up for my final pick here. I'm waiting to see if there's any magic. I don't know what to say. There's all these quarterbacks here. Dak Prescott, I could have the stack with George Pickens. C.J. Stroud, I could have the stack with nobody. Same with Caleb Williams or Jordan Love. I go all the way down to J.J. McCarthy, maybe stack him with. I'm leaning quarterback here, and there's so many different options.
Well, you're talking about stacking. You know, you have London, you have Pitts. No, there is no restriction on this last round. Wrap your team up however you like. Make it the best team you can after all this mayhem.
Okay. I'm scrolling down to see how low Michael Penix is. He's 157. So
that's the ultimate stack right there.
So the top quarterback available is Dak Prescott. But we've taken him in a lot of mock drafts recently. I feel like he's kind of been like our late round darling. So I'm gonna go off out of the blue. Maybe it's because of preseason. Give me Justin Fields. I'm gonna take the running ability. I'm gonna take the high flyer in Justin Fields. Shock George in that one, but Justin Fields will be my quarterback. I just wrapped this draft up with Kyle Pitts and Justin Fields straight to dominating a fantasy league.
Dominating is a loose term in your dictionary.
You're up, buddy.
I'm up. And is Kempy going to be meaner to me and have a restriction on me? Because please let me pick a wide receiver.
Are you sure you don't want to pick a quarterback? I'm just saying.
I am sure I don't want to pick a quarterback. And I'm sure I don't want to go to a season with 3 wide receivers on my whole roster.
In a double flex league. In a full PPR. What are you doing?
I got
no restriction, George.
A wheel spin at running back and a wheel spin that took a running back on the wheel. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, and also you couldn't take one of the best rookies available in Tet when you also just took Hubbard. So
because I took Hubbard, yep. I got stuck on the running back train the entire draft.
I just love looking at George's team. It's like solid, and then it just goes Goff and Herbert back to back, and that just is icing on the cake right there. But George, no restrictions. Wrap your team up the best way you can.
Thank you, because I think the best wide receiver 4 that I can get at this point of the draft is going to end up being Michael Pittman. He's been a wide receiver 2 before. We hope he comes back to be a wide receiver 2 again because I need it.
That is not even close to the guy I thought you were going to take. I would not have taken him there with some other names on the board. And that's not just me saying, you should take Trey Harris because he was sitting there on the board. But after your pick was Dak Prescott, Zach Charbonnet, and Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman was actually the guy I would have taken here, the high upside second-year player for Josh Allen. I guess you do have Khalil Shakir, which maybe played a little bit of factor into that one as well. So Michael Pittman there, I just don't know how I feel about trusting Danny Pennies or Anthony Richardson for your wide receiver 4. And you can't even say, oh, it's my last round pick. You're going to need this guy when you find out that Marvin Harrison Jr. and A.J. Brown share a bye week. I just made that up. I don't know if they actually do or not, but
that was almost mayhem that I was going to add
No.
in there would have been you have to pick somebody on the same bye week, but I figured that wasn't crazy enough. So I hope you guys survived. It looks like you guys have some pretty solid teams overall, but who's got the better team?
Not me. No, I think me worrying about running back so much at the beginning, I think the game got me. Because I love the running backs I selected, but I think I got stuck in a hole once it took Travion Henderson and then came back around to the wheel spin Tony Pollard. Didn't want Pollard there at all, but there we were.
yeah. And I think for your team, like, it's interesting that you are relying on Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, you need him to be a weekly starter.
Yep.
Basically, or you need Khalil Shakir to break out after he signed his contract extension. Like, you need something here. I think my team is a little bit more balanced, but obviously waiting to the last 2 rounds to get a tight end and a quarterback makes it, always a shot in the dark, especially when your guys are Kyle Pitts and Justin Fields. Looking across at some of these other teams that drafted, some of these CPU teams, I really like what Team 2 did, despite going back-to-back quarterback tight end, but getting a solid piece in Jamar Chase, getting a solid piece in Josh Jacobs, Josh Allen, George Kittle, and then DK Metcalf, and then a bunch of running backs. I like how he managed, that team makeup that you don't traditionally do. Same with Team 7. They did a similar approach, and their team might even be slightly better when it comes to the wide receivers. It's just that number 2 running back being DeAndre Swift and only drafting 3 in total makes it why I give the edge to Team 2 there.
My favorite, probably from looking quickly, is Team 8. They got their 2 top end wide receivers, Puka Nacua and Nico Collins. Hopefully, Puka's not affected by anything with Stafford. Popped in 3 solid running backs, James Cook, Ken Walker, Joe Mixon. Still got fairly early quarterback tight end, and then just got some solid upside pieces to match at wide receiver. Calvin Ridley had a great camp so far and a great first preseason game. Cooper Kupp, Emeka Egbuka, Darnell Mooney. And then I'll also go back and talk about the Marvin Harrison thing for a second. After seeing how this broke down, I really wish I took Mike Evans instead in that pick.
Just to have something more solid. I could see that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing with Team 8 is the Joe Mixon injury. I feel like it's not talked about enough, but he's still on NFI with a foot injury. I mean, I don't know how much between him and Nick Chubb, like 2 banged up guys typically, or Chubb's only the banged up guy, like how that's going to play a factor in there, but he has 2 other guys sitting there as well. Kempy, since you're here, is there any of the 10 teams that stick out to you as one that you like better?
Honestly, I am leaning towards Team 2 a little bit there. I think the Chase, Jacobs, Allen, like that has a dangerous recipe to be successful, especially in the fantasy playoffs. I at first Team 9 caught my attention, going Derrick Henry, Brian Thomas Jr., and then Chase Brown. I thought that was the start of a great team. And then pairing up with T. Higgins. I don't like the Brown and Higgins back-to-back picks there, and it kind of drops down. But overall, that start right there at the 9 slot is definitely something to keep in mind as draft season approaches.
For sure. Well, I think that wraps up our Mayhem mock draft, not sponsored by Allstate, but it could be if you wanted to. But Kempy, thank you so much for hopping on the show and being our chaos coordinator. George, I'm so happy that your Chargers fan got to shine a little bit. Any last words from either of you fellas?
No, thanks for having me on, guys. This was fun. You guys have mentioned it before. I always wanted to create a league of just pure chaos. Still working on it a little bit. Want to find the perfect site, but one day we're going to have a just chaos mayhem league in itself on top of the draft. So thanks a lot, guys, for having me on. For sure. And Kempy, you definitely have at least one, and I'm sure George will join 2 people locked in, ready to go whenever that league gets started. But as always, thanks for checking out another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. We are live on Thursdays at 6:30. We are in the heart of draft season. A lot of mock drafts, a lot of fun coming your way over the next couple weeks until we are in the regular season. Make sure you are checking us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, and all those good places. I'm sorry for the 2 people comments that I missed during the show. We'll get them back. Until next time, I'm Cody Woodcap. That's George Kurth, and we'll talk to you all next week.